People always imagine heroes as shining knights or noble generals. In the world I come from, heroes are usually desperate men with sharp weapons and poor life choices. If you want the truth about my adventures with Gotrek Gurnisson, I'll warn you now. Most of it began with ale and a spectacularly bad decision.
I want hiding anger! Fateful! No more! Forward! For the city! For the city! Drive them back! No retreat! No retreat! Charge! Big fray! Brothers and sisters! The storm breaks for the town fray! Downward! Forward! Let them better! Charge for victory!
I met Gotrek in Altdorf during a festival. The streets were packed, the taverns were overflowing, and the entire city seemed determined to drink itself into legend. I had recently fought a duel, academic pride, wounded ego, the usual foolishness of young men who believe their reputations are the most important things in the world. By the end of the evening, I had managed to ruin my standing at the university and likely my relationship with my family as well. So naturally, I went drinking. That was when I saw him. A dwarf sitting alone in a corner, covered in scars, with a bright orange crest of hair rising from his scalp like a banner of war. 2 axes leaned against the table beside him, each one heavy enough to split a man from shoulder to hip. This was my first meeting with a slayer.
Endless strategies. A toast and glory. We'll crush them together.
Aye, we will. The ruins are said to hold a great treasure.
And what dangers lurk in those shadows?
Nothing we can't handle together.
Are you with me? I am with you. To adventure.
That axe won't help if you're not ready for what's ahead.
Ha! I've faced worse. This is just another night's work.
The ancient race of dwarfs, honor is everything.
Wins battle.
When a dwarf suffers a disgrace too terrible to live with, he takes the Slayer oath. He abandons his former life, shaves his head into that ridiculous crest, and swears to seek a glorious death in battle. The more terrible the monster, the better. Gotrek told me he was searching for his doom. At the time, that sounded like the beginning of a magnificent poem. I was young, drunk, and possessed of more enthusiasm than wisdom. So I made a vow. I swore that I would follow him and record the story of his heroic death. It seemed like a reasonable promise at the time. After all, how long could someone survive while deliberately hunting the most dangerous creatures in the world? As it turns out, quite a long time. Not long after leaving Altdorf, we began traveling through the darker corners of the empire. Villages surrounded by forests that seemed far too quiet. Roads where merchants traveled in armed caravans because things in the woods had a habit of eating the unprepared. Our travels continued like that for months. Trolls, mutants, chaos cultists whispering about dark gods and the end of the world. Each new horror seemed worse than the last. Then we encountered something far more troubling. Rats. Not ordinary rats. Man-sized rats walking upright, carrying weapons, hiding in tunnels beneath the towns and cities of the Empire, the Skaven. If you tell scholars about them, they laugh. If you tell city officials, they accuse you of drinking too much. But I saw them, and Gotrek killed them. Many of them. That was when I realized my drunken oath had bound me to something much larger than a wandering slayer seeking death.
The storm tests our mettle, but we press on! Aye, the shadows hide dangers. Stay vigilant. Let them come, my axe, to glory or death!
Keep your eyes peeled, lad. This forest is alive with shadows.
Aye, the rain hides much, but I sense eyes upon us. Then let's give them a fight to remember! Ha! Props Storm for a proper fight!
Easy, Gotrek. What trouble are you charging into now?
The kind that ends in glory and skulls!
Right. Lead on, you mad dwarf.
Halt! Who goes there? Speak your names!
Oh, marvelous. Another man in shiny armor. I'm Felix Jaeger, chronicler of disasters.
And I'm intent on dying spectacularly. Trouble's what I live for, knight! Point me at it! Here we go again.
It didn't take long before we found our first real trouble. A troll had been stalking a rural settlement. Huge brute, strong enough to rip doors from their hinges and devour livestock whole. Several villagers had already disappeared. Most sensible travelers would have continued on their way.
Quit your shivering.
Gotrek smiled. That was the first lesson I learned about my companion. The larger and more horrifying the enemy, the happier he became.
The forest falls silent. Even the wind seems to hesitate. Then the creature moves. From the shadows emerges a towering troll, its bloated flesh glistening in the dim light, long arms dragging across the ground like the limbs of some obscene puppet. Its breath between jagged teeth. Felix feels the blood drain from his face. This is no tavern tale, no heroic poem. This is death. But beside him, the dwarf only. Gotrek Gurnisson steps forward, orange crest blazing like fire in the darkness, axe already in hand. At last, a worthy doom. With a roar that echoes through the trees, the slayer charges. The troll and swings a massive arm. The blow shatters stone and earth as Gotrek dives beneath it, rolling through mud and snapping upright with impossible speed. His axe bites deep into the creature's leg. Black blood sprays. The troll,
Face me,
it grabs a tree trunk and swings it like a club, smashing the ground where Gotrek stood a heartbeat before. Felix stumbles backward, sword trembling in his hands. This is madness. The troll lunges again, and the dwarf meets it head-on. Axes flash in savage arcs. Steel crashes against rubbery flesh. Each strike should kill a man twice over, yet Gotrek fights like a creature born of war itself. The troll seizes him. For a moment, Felix believes it is over. The monster lifts the slayer high, preparing to tear him apart. But Gotrek only... With a savage... he drives his axe straight into the beast's eye. The troll... thrashing wildly. Gotrek wrenches the weapon free and leaps upon its shoulders, hacking again and again with unstoppable fury. Finally, the axe falls one last time, deep into the creature's skull. The forest trembles as the troll collapses. Silence returns. Gotrek stands atop the corpse, breathing hard, blood dripping from his axe. Felix. The slayer sought death. Instead, he has found glory. Again.
Of course there was a troll under the bridge. Why wouldn't there be? At this point, I would have been more surprised if it were a tea shop. After the beast was felled, the lair remained. A cathedral of filth. Gotrek was interested only in the monster's head, but my eyes were drawn to the glint of something that the mud could not swallow.
Stop poking around, manling. The head is what matters.
As I pulled it from the silt, the blade ignited, not with fire, but with a cold, righteous light. Caragul, the dragon slayer. An ancient relic of the dwarfs, waiting in the dark for a hand to claim it. I felt the weight of the steel, and for the first time since Altdorf, I felt like I might actually survive the night. A legendary dwarf dragon slayer sword buried in troll filth. I suppose that's one way to keep the rent low.
Good steel.
Try not to lose it.
For the clan!
The trolls were dead, which in my experience usually means the day is about to become considerably worse.
These are not troll tracks.
Beastmen! The battle is over, but the cost was high. Aye, but we held. The darkness will not claim us. We ride at first light. There is no rest. Then let us move. Come on, manling. There are worse things than beastmen out there.
Yes, I'm aware. Unfortunately, I'm traveling with one of them.
It smells of a fight, manling. Quit your shivering. I can taste the blood in the air. We'll crush their bones under our boots. Now fight, or I'll feed you to the crows! Hear that, fine, manling? Crows! Finally, a doom that might actually stick. I have repaid the blood of my enemies! My axe thirsts for more! None shall stand before me! Ah! Come forth, demons! I hateful! Ah! Felix! Ah!
The forests of the Empire are not empty places.
I feel
They
it.
belong to older things,
Trees.
darker things,
Wargs,
creatures born from the corruption of chaos. The beastmen, half man, half beast, all hatred. They watch the road from the shadows, waiting. A twig snaps. A low horn echoes through the trees. Then the forest explodes. From every direction they come. Snorting, howling, hooves tearing the ground. Twisted horns and rusted axes flash in the lantern light as the herd crashes into the caravan. Men scream, horses panic. The night becomes slaughter. Felix Jaeger draws his sword with shaking hands. This was never supposed to be real. This was supposed to be poetry. But beside him, the dwarf is smiling. Gotrek Gurnisson steps forward into the chaos, axes already in his fists.
Not today!
Beastmen,
I've got
he
your
growls.
back.
At last,
My axe
something worthy.
for the fall!
A towering gore charges from the darkness, axe raised high.
Take
Gotrek meets it head on. Steel flashes. The beastman's head spins from its shoulders before its body even hits the ground. More follow. Dozens of them. A wall of fur, horns, and screaming rage. Felix barely manages to parry the first strike aimed at him. The force rattles through his arm. Another beastman lunges with a jagged spear. Felix stabs wildly. The blade finds flesh. Hot blood splashes across his face. For a moment he freezes. Then the battle swallows him again. In the center of it all stands the Slayer. Gotrek moves like a storm.
crossing!
Axes whirl in blinding arcs, cleaving through horns, bone, and iron alike. A beastman leaps onto his back. Gotrek slams himself backward into a wagon wheel, crushing the creature against the wood. Another charges. Gotrek buries an axe in its chest. A massive bestigor pushes through the herd, towering above the rest, armor plates hammered crudely across its hulking frame. It roars and swings a heavy axe. The blow crashes into the ground, splitting the earth.
Turn back,
Gotrek laughs.
beast
The
haunted
dwarf charges straight into the monster's reach.
This is
The bestigor swings again,
my end.
too slow. Gotrek ducks beneath the strike and drives both axes upward into the creature's ribs. The beast bellows in fury, lifting the dwarf from the ground. For a heartbeat, Felix thinks the Slayer has finally found his death. Then Gotrek twists free. One savage strike. The bestigor collapses like a falling tree. The herd wavers. Their champion lies dead. One by one, the beastmen begin to retreat, melting back into the forest from which they came. The battle ends as suddenly as it began. Broken wagons burn. Bodies lie scattered across the road. Felix leans on his sword, shaking, lungs burning. He turns to the dwarf. Gotrek Gurnisson stands among the fallen, breathing hard, blood dripping from his axes. Alive. Again. Felix wipes the blood from his eyes and realizes something terrible. If this is what following a slayer means, then the poems he swore to write may never end, and the road ahead will only grow darker. Felix Jaeger stares, heart pounding. The dwarf sought death, but survived. The road stretches onward, dark and endless, filled with monsters yet unseen. Felix will write the saga, chronicle the battles, but the Slayer's legend will never end, because Gotrek still lives, and the world will tremble at his wrath.
Which is reassuring, because I was rapidly losing mine.